Guys, on today's video, I have a special guest, Max Maxwell. And I've been trying to get Max on the channel, and we finally were able to align our schedules. We're both here together in the same room. And I've got Max on the channel, and I asked Max to share 3 things that you need to do right now to get your first deal. So if you've been working on that and dabbling and learning and maybe even picking up the phone and doing some stuff, Max is gonna share some tips right now that I think are gonna be amazing to help you really get to that first deal so that you can have that life-changing experience and go on to build this business. All that and more coming up.
This video is brought to you by Flipster, the nation's largest property database, including houses on the MLS and off-market leads, like pre-foreclosures and vacant homes. To find your next wholesale or fix and flip deal, start your free trial today at joinflipster.com.
Max,
Jerry,
thank you for sitting down with me with this interview. This is, for me, I gotta tell you, Max, this is like a dream come true for me to have you on the channel, get to have this discussion and talk to you about real estate and talk to you about wholesaling. I know you're busy and we ended up being at like an event together, so it all worked out. But my audience, you guys listening, I know you guys are big Max Maxwell fans. So first of all, thank you for all that you do for the wholesaling community.
You too, man.
You've done so much and have helped so many people, and it's just fun to become friends with you and be a part of your world a little bit. So thank you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, and I'm excited for the topic. We have, Max, you know, similar to, I think, some of your audience, a lot of people that are excited about wholesaling. They're new to the business and they're working on that first deal. You know, you talk a lot about that one deal, how life-changing that is. And it's that proof of concept, it's that confidence. And so I want to kind of address that on this video. What are some things that can really help somebody who's maybe in that dabble, or they're trying to commit, maybe they're even picking up the phone and doing calls. But what would you say are some maybe 2 or 3 major things that are life-changing to help somebody actually get that first deal and start on that journey to now making this a business?
You know, Jared, that's a good question. And I get questions like these a lot. And what happens is, you know, Instagram and YouTube is a shiny world. Mm-hmm. And, you know, a lot of people, when they see this business, they're excited, like you said, and they see people that are just out there living their best life.
They see the checks,
They see the checks, they see everything, and they see multiple checks. And a lot of people are like, they start with saying, I want to build a business like this. Yeah. And this is like 10, 12 deals a month, you know, $200,000, $300,000 a year. And the reality is most of America, through statistics, if you get one deal a month, you will be in the top 19% of people living on this earth. And so the reality is you need to start with that one, right? And focus on that one. How do I get one deal and not how do I build this company that pumps out 10 to 12 deals? And then so my thing is there's a lot of information out there. Mm-hmm. Find one person you like, maybe 1 or 2.
That you resonate with.
That you resonated with. They're like you can hear, like simply you can hear their voice all day long. Yeah. Because that's what it's gonna take. You gotta listen to Jerry's podcast all day long, watch the YouTube videos all day long, and stick to that one person. And I get people, I'm sure you do too, people come into this business with money. I say, put your money away. You're not gonna need it here. What you're gonna need is your time and your dedication. And what I mean by that is you need to go out and you need to drive. I like to drive around in the communities that I wanna service. Right? And simply the reason why I do that is, one, you're going to start to learn the DNA and the footprint and how the community works. You're going to see what good areas are, what the bad areas are, what areas are transitioning from good to bad. And then if you like to talk to people like I do, you're going to jump out of the car, you're going to talk to contractors, you're going to get a list of people that can give you stuff later. You can maybe meet a couple of flippers yourself, which is going to be your end buyer. And so through doing that, and it doesn't take a long time, I'm talking like weekends for 2 or 3 weeks, really putting in 6 hours, driving around, burning some gas, and finding that DNA and the makeup of it. So when somebody yells out a street or a zip code,
you know
that this is a transition area. Oh, this is high end. Oh, this is the medium side. And you do that to just get the understanding of what you're getting into. Because in reality, this business is simple. You're finding properties that are deeply discounted and you're going to sell them to somebody else who has a different utility to do with it, which is flipping it, buying it, holding it, and they're your end buyer.
It's not very complicated, really. We overcomplicate it,
right? And so one is definitely you need to drive in your neighborhoods. You need to figure that out.
So become a market expert.
Correct.
You know, Max, it's really interesting. When I first started years ago, what I would do similar to that idea is I would go on the MLS, or I'd have an agent print out, like, I'd pick like this area, this neighborhood, and I'd have them print out every single sold home in the past, 6 months.
Correct.
And then I would drive every single house and be like, okay, this house sold for this. Here's how big it is. Okay, this house. And then doing that, like you do that for a day and you look at 100, you know that neighborhood inside and out. Yeah, you know that neighborhood.
You're an expert. And that's what you're doing. You're fast tracking to knowing what things are.
And then when a lead comes in, you're like, I know that neighborhood, I know that street, I know exactly what those values are.
You could almost boil it down to like a square footage on that zip code area. Yeah. Like these houses sell for this when they're fixed up. Oh, I can see the prior transaction. It looks like somebody bought it for this. And what you see on the paperwork when you look at the previous transaction from a cash buyer, you're looking at what the wholesaler got it on the contract for. Yeah. You don't really see what the end buyer bought it for, but that gives you your guideline.
Sure.
You don't know what the wholesaler made. That's okay. So driving is important. And you and I know there's a bunch of softwares out there. And I know people, they come in, they spend all their monthly wholesaling bill is like $1,000 and they haven't done one deal.
All in tools and softwares.
Yeah, tools and software. They don't know how to use them. They don't understand what they're used for. And so find that one software, that one thing that you want to work with and master it. Yeah. And master it. You know, you have software, I have software. Yeah. People use 20% of what the software can do.
I say they drive it like a bicycle. It's a Lamborghini, they're riding it like a bicycle, right?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And so they're not using the whole utility of what that thing can actually do. And so understanding your neighborhood, mastering your software, and just really being a part of that community. It's hard to kind of like fake that your knowledge. Yeah. And that knowledge comes into play. And
so you're talking local meetups, everyone that's
all of that.
In your market, yeah.
And you know, one thing too, jumping a little bit, when you get on the phone with a seller, stop acting like you're the most savviest investor in the country. It's okay to let them know that, listen, this is my first or second rental property I'm looking to buy, or my first or second flip I'm looking to do.
Or if they say something and you don't know what that means, say, what do you mean by that? Yeah. I don't really understand that. What do you mean? It's okay to not know.
It's exactly. And so what people should do is really go back to the roots of all this.
That's what I'm hearing. Back to the basics.
That's to the basics, because when you and I started this business, I can remember late 2016, 2017, there was no Driving for Dollars app. There was I think PropStream and those guys have just came off of having a CD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. And so, and that's not that long ago.
No.
Skip tracing used to cost $1 to $5 a name.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
we would use like reverse directory to try to find people. Remember that?
So go back to the basics. Talk to people, drive the neighborhoods, and really just get to understand what you're getting into.
What I love about what you're saying here, Max, is, and this is very, by the way, I love this because it's so counter what so many people are talking about, like this virtual wholesaling, which I do. People want to just sit there and not do anything, and it's really hard to dominate a market that you don't really know.
Could you imagine being in my market virtually and you doing a phone call and me going to somebody's house or having that phone call and being able to, I'm going to kick your butt every time.
Every time.
If you don't study the market like
right.
that.
So if you go to Max's market virtually, Max is going to crush you. Every time because he's on the ground and you're gritty, you're rolling up your sleeve, you're talking to people. And that's such phenomenal advice, guys. I hope you're really taking this to heart. I think what happens too, Max, I see this all the time. I hear people say, "Hey, I'm in San Antonio, and I'm thinking about doing a virtual market in Phoenix." And it's like, why?
Why? You haven't exhausted your backyard.
Your backyard's amazing. And
people in Phoenix are doing your backyard.
And I haven't found a backyard that's not doing deals. That's amazing. Like, I don't care where it is. Topeka, Kansas is doing deals. Like, own your market and dominate it.
Because the truth is, like we talked about, you need one deal a month to change your entire life. Just one.
Especially today where wholesales are 15,000, 20,000 is like normal now.
We're selling the hedge funds now, and our typical deal prior to all this inflation and everything going up was 13.5. Yeah. Our average deal has almost tripled.
So you're hitting the 30,000 plus.
Because we're selling to different buyers. Yeah. We know the market.
Their formula is 90% or 100%. They're not
paying,
buying.
I figured out a formula. They're paying up to 118% of price.
Because they have such a long-term game plan.
Their goals are different.
Yeah.
They're playing with billions, while the guys on the ground, mom and pop, are playing with a couple 100,000. And then the middle guys are playing with millions. They have if they can make 3 to 4% on $1 billion, they're doing fine.
Yeah. And then you have the outliers where it's just somebody want a live-in flipper or whatever,
Correct.
and they're buying at that 90% number. And so it's just incredible what you can get on these spreads. But, you know, what you're saying, guys, and I hope you take this to heart, is watch out for that shiny object where, oh, there's another market that's better than my market. No, there isn't, because you can dominate your backyard 10 times better than you ever will be able to virtually.
And faster. Yeah. And faster, because you can use your lunch breaks, you can use your weekends and drive around the community. You can attend events that are local to your community. You can't do that if you're in San Antonio trying to flip in Phoenix or trying to wholesale in Phoenix.
And really, if you think about it, the investing community in any given market is pretty small. It doesn't take very long before you know everybody knows you, and now you're doing deals at those meetups. People are learning what you're doing, what you're looking for. You're finding new cash buyers.
Correct. And you know, you've been in this business long enough to know that you'll go out and build a huge buyers list, and then you'll end up working with the same 15, 20 people anyways.
Yeah, even though you have a multi-$1,000 buyer list and you call the same guy that you know can perform and close in a week. Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
And you sacrifice the extra, percentage of money for somebody that you know is going to perform.
Before we end here, Max, I wanted to ask you, how much are you doing more than just the assignment? Now, I know the answer because I follow you a little bit, but a lot of wholesalers get in this, I call it the one-trick pony, where they only think about the assignment, and the assignment's the lowest form of, the lowest paying strategy, right? How much of these other techniques, like Wholetail, fix and flip, are you starting to implement?
There's not a strategy I don't do. And that's another thing. When you start to diversify what's in your tool belt, you really don't run across, if a seller wants to sell, I can buy it.
You can find a way to make it a deal.
I can buy a sub 2, I can buy a seller finance, I can do a lease back, I can do a master lease. You name it, I can wholesale it, I can take it down. These days,
fix and flip it, whatever.
Yeah, these days, 60 to 70% of my deals I'm buying myself. Yeah. And
meaning you're taking it down,
and flipping it.
And you're not doing the assignment.
No, we're flipping it. Yeah. Because at some point you've developed enough relationships, enough money to where you now sourcing your own deal. Forget the $20,000 assignment.
Yeah.
I'm doing $50,000, $60,000 flips.
Yep, and I've been trying to talk a lot about this, because when you wholetail it or fix and flip it or some of these other strategies, you're now getting the rest of the meat on the bone.
I tell people this. When I started, I said, I will never stop wholesaling. Yeah. The reason is because I am sourcing the deals. It's like if I owned a grocery store, why not grow my own produce? If I can take it from my farm to my grocery store, there's no middleman I got to buy from. So if I'm going to be in real estate long term, why would I stop the source?
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
And that really makes you a powerful investor, because a lot of fix and flippers don't want to do acquisitions. So then they're beholden to whatever a wholesaler brings them. Whereas if you know how to actually find the deals, now you create all of that equity to then do what you want with that deal.
Because now you stop giving away the cheese, and you have to partner with those people have to now partner with you to get a piece of the pie. Yeah.
Isn't that great? Love that, guys. So please think about this business more than just one method of doing this. If you're brand new, right, the assignment's great. Keep doing the assignment. There's a place for it. But really try to open up, start learning how to raise capital, take down deals, and do these other strategies. And it's amazing what the possibilities are in this business. Absolutely. And that's fun. So Max, I'm excited to see some of the new things you're doing. You've been telling me a little bit off camera, some things you're doing where you're rebuilding out your business and doing some really fun things. So it's going to be awesome to see, the next level for Max Maxwell and some of the things you're doing. By the way, congratulations on getting married this year. And
thank you, man. It's been amazing so far.
Yeah, it's awesome. So guys, thank you. If you have questions, leave those in the comments. Max, really appreciate you again. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.